In the last video, we talked about reflect and reveal. So studying, in essence, your formation, how you've been formed, and recognizing your wiring. But here is the tension that most people experience. You can understand your story and you can even see your design and still feel very stuck. So the question is, why are you feeling stuck? Because clarity alone does not change your life. It feels good, but clarity, it must be protected. There are 3 more movements that help protect clarity in your life. The first one is refocus. Number 2 is rebuild. 3 is respond. So let's slow this down just for a moment and let's go a little bit deeper. Refocus. Clarity requires concentration. In Habakkuk 2:2, it says, write down the revelation and make it plain. Revelation must become vision, and vision must become focus in our lives. And most people don't lack direction in their life. They literally lack concentration. I've been there. So after I recognized patterns in my own life, I saw how I was wired. And I had to ask myself the harder question. And here's that question. What will I center my life around in this season? And I'm not talking about forever, way down the road. I'm not talking 10 years from now. I'm talking about right now, this current season. Just because everything feels important, nothing actually gets your best energy. So by refocusing, it's not about adding more to your plate. It's about taking off or subtracting what competes with your energy. And here's what gets really uncomfortable. Sometimes what competes with your calling is not sinful. It's just misalignment. So rebuild. Alignment requires structure. In Proverbs 16:3, it says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he'll establish your plans. So commitment is not emotion. It really is structure. And you can have clarity and you can have focus, but if your rhythms don't support them, you'll drift back into misalignment. So rebuild is about designing a life that supports what God is forming in you. This is where many people quietly resist because structure feels restrictive, but structure is not restrictive. It's protection. I mean, when I began rebuilding, it wasn't really dramatic, but it was really deliberate. I mean, I had to look at how I scheduled my week, how I guarded my mornings, how I allowed conversations to shape my mindset, how I let frustration creep into my tone. Alignment requires intentional rhythms. So just ask yourself, does my calendar reflect what matters to me? And where am I overcommitted? And what habits are reinforcing distraction in my life? What patterns are reinforcing the clarity? What needs to be rebuilt, not emotionally, but structurally? Sometimes we pray for breakthrough, and what we need is better structure. Rebuilding is stewardship. It is honoring what you've discovered about your design. So respond, courage before clarity. So in Joshua 1:9, it says, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And here's where clarity actually becomes faith. Reflect and reveal bring awareness. Refocus and rebuild bring alignment. Respond requires courage. Here's something I've learned personally. Clarity does not remove fear. It simply makes obedience more clear. Were there seasons where I knew I was aligned, but I still felt uncertain? And respond is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is moving with faithful obedience. So ask yourself, what is the next faithful step? Not the entire plan. What conversation am I avoiding? What action have I been postponing? What fear am I exaggerating when it comes to taking risk? What would courage look like this week in my life? See, God rarely reveals step 10 before step 1. Movement builds momentum, and obedience strengthens conviction in us. Without response, clarity becomes just intellectual. With response, clarity becomes transformational. So here's the full movement again of the 5 R's. Reflect means study your formation. Reveal means discern your design. Refocus means choosing your priority. Rebuild means structure your rhythms. And respond means taking courageous action. This is not about dramatic change overnight, but it is about alignment over time. So if you feel restless, don't change your environment. Walk the movements. God's been forming you. He's wired you. He's leading you. Your story matters, and your next step is waiting. If this resonates with you, I want to invite you to type the word grow below in the comments, and I have a free PDF that'll walk you through the 5 R's or the 5 movements so that you can get clarity, so that way you can get focus, and then you can have transformation in your life. Just comment grow. We'll get that to you. Thank you so much for taking time today.